Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stock Durbar by Team William India. So it's a first Stock Durbar of year 2023. So a New Year greetings to all of you. And also, it's a very happy moment to say that this is the 7th consecutive year that our market Nifty has delivered a positive return. And it was almost around 15% CAGR growth if we consider these 7 years. Not new for the Indian market, because in the last decade also we have seen that from after that dot-com burst and everything in from 2002 to that 2007-8 tak jab tak rally chala tha, consecutive year by year we used to give positive returns as far as the Indian market is concerned. But difference itna tha ki wahan pe CAGR 35 to 40% tha. I don't remember exactly, but yes, it was somewhere around 40%. The CAGR when there was that 2002 to 8 wala rally. इस बार 7 साल around 14 to 15% CAGR. But no, that's decent. Like the what's not gone through this 7 years, but that's what we always say, that at the end of the day, the market always, it's a growing thing, and you need to pick the quality stock, stick to a method. So, okay, on that positive note, let's start the first Stock Durbar of the year. A little cryptic situation as far as the Nifty is concerned, a little sweet and sour kind of thing. So a couple of weeks back, last week we went to a downtrend over here, but then quickly we saw that the 3 sessions. So जब भी हम downtrend में होते हैं, whenever we are in a downtrend, we look for 3 sessions for low to hold. So ये 1, 2, 3 session low hold किया, तो हम downtrend से RM में आ गए. That is rally attempt. And since almost 5-7 sessions, we are waiting for a follow-through day, but we have not got. अगर एक चीज देखें तो लास्ट टाइम जब हम डिस्कस करते थे, जब मार्केट हाई पे था, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम, तो वी डिस्कस लॉट अबाउट द 21 DMA थिंग. या हर जगह पे वो 21 DMA वाला काम किया था, ब्रीच होने के बाद गया बजा वही वाला. तो यहाँ भी 21 DMA जब ब्रीच हुआ, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे बढ़ते गए. तो एट दैट टाइम, अगर मैं सिंपली कहूँ इन अ क्रिस्प वे, उस टाइम हम क्या डिस्कस कर रहे थे लास्ट मंथ, व्हाट आवर फोकस वाज ऑन इन नवंबर सेकेंड हाफ, कि एक तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे नहीं बढ़ने चाहिए, 21 DMA होल्ड करना चाहिए. ठीक है, अगर 21 ब्रीच हुआ, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे बढ़े, तो हम अंडर प्रेशर जाएंगे और फिर हमको नीचे जाने के लिए कंफर्मेशन देगा 50 DMA का ब्रीच. तो वो हो गया. ठीक है, अगर आप चार्ट देखो तो फर्स्ट द 21 DMA वाज ब्रीच. ठीक है, यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे पाइल अप हो गए ये 2 सेक्शन पे, एंड देन वी ब्रीच 50 DMA. दैट्स इट. फ्रॉम देयर द मार्केट हैज बीन मूविंग डाउन टू साइडवेज. अभी इस बार क्या देखना था कि अभी हम रैली अटेम्प्ट में तो आ गए, तो अभी 2 चीज देखनी है. फर्स्ट, follow through day, that is FTD 1.5% gain on a volume higher than previous session according to O'Neill. Second, 50 DMA का reclaim. ये 2 चीज पे अभी फोकस होना चाहिए. जैसे लास्ट टाइम हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे 21 और 50 पे कर रहे थे, इस बार फॉलो थ्रू डे 50 और 21 पे करना है. But 21, 50 अभी तो ऑलमोस्ट सेम लेवल पे. 21 is going down a bit negative. Already ये crossover हो चुका है. So 20 has gone down below the 50-day moving average. So technically that's a bit weaker one. But yes, overall 100 DMA, the pink line over here is the 100 DMA. That is giving a good support, guys. देखो यहाँ पे जब 100 DMA रिक्लेम हुआ था ना, ठीक है, 3-4 महीने पहले, वहां से 100 DMA has been very good. यहाँ पे 100 DMA सपोर्ट दिया, ये लास्ट मंथ भी दिया था, आज भी दिया. बट अभी देखते हैं कितना दे पाता है. अभी डाउन साइड के लिए अगर रूल्स हम देखें तो वंस दिस 100 DMA इज गॉन, देयर आर हाई चांसेस कि ये जो लो है अभी करेक्शन का 17,780 के अराउंड, वो ब्रीच हो जाएगा. वंस दैट लो इज ब्रीच, the market status changes to a downtrend. Then we will go into the downtrend, and then we can see a further fall. There are chances that we might test 17,200, 300 level, 200 DMA तक हम टेस्ट कर सकते हैं पिछली बार की तरह. But let's see how the market goes, because आज बहुत weak था, but in the last hour or so there was some relief. Bulls took some bit of charge, 80-90 points, 100 points का अच्छा रिकवरी मिल गया मार्केट में. So let's see how the thing goes tomorrow, and if we are able to reclaim the 50 DMA और follow through day मिलता है कि नहीं. So we are at a very critical. नीचे भी अगर 200 पॉइंट और गया, previous low reach हो गया ये वाला, then it's gone. Okay, so this is set up for Nifty, very small range. 50 DMA अच्छा resistance दिया, ठीक है. पूरा यहाँ पे देखो 50 DMA ये रेड लाइन है, वहां से बाजार ऊपर जा ही नहीं पाया. एवरी डे दैट 250 के आजू बाजू आके ठोक देते थे. That was the entire situation, that whenever it came near the 50 DMA, there was sharp sell off, and market was not able to move above 50 DMA and sustain over there. So that's the case as far as the Nifty is concerned. We can't zoom because that will be, I think, the screen might get a bit disturbed over there if we zoom too much. If we look at the sectors, so अभी banking के सब आप updates देख रहे होंगे, quarterly updates आएंगे, deposit advance, so that's a decent growth, I think, for most of the banks जितना भी आया है. If you look at the HDFC Bank, the other small banks, 15, 20, 25% of growth in advances, loans, deposits. So that's a decent growth as far as the banking sector is concerned. And yes, the banks have led the rally. Sorry, Nifty Bank. So bank was one of the big winner of this rally. 32,000 से जून में स्टार्ट किया था, तो 2022 के सेकेंड हाफ का एक क्लीन अगर विनर अगर देखना है, then that's Nifty Bank, the banking stocks. Not only the private bank, look at the PSU Bank. In fact, the PSU Bank index doubled from its lows in the June. If you look at the PSU Bank index, okay, so it has doubled from the low. So low was somewhere around 2,300 and it made a high of around 4,600. So there has been an excellent move as far as the PSU banks are also concerned. So today, Bank Nifty got a small support near its 50 DMA. I think, yeah, it has breached. So the 50 DMA is around 650 and the closing is around 600. So Bank Nifty has also breached its 50 DMA. So let's see if it can reclaim it tomorrow or not. If it cannot reclaim as far as as early as tomorrow, then I think we might see some more sell-off as far as the banking stocks are concerned. And it might also test around the 100 DMA level. So that's the bank sector. But overall, you see the loan growth, the deposit growth, the decent set of numbers from most of the banks. I think almost all the banks. But yeah, the market is under selling pressure and we are discounting a lot of things. So globally, bhi agar dekhe to the rate hike cycles, there's no clear indication that the pivot will come very soon. The discussion around the 5.25, 5.5, the inflation to keep under control, and then talks of the recessions. There's a lot of things to get a discount into, and the rally has been very good. There's no doubt, from the 32,000 to almost 44, 45,000. So एक अच्छा rally 6 months में था. So जब भी कोई extended होता है तो वहाँ पे selling becomes very easy whenever the things are getting extended. But then also Bank Nifty has given a very good support even in the recent fall. जब हम 18,888 वाला वो high बना के अभी हम नीचे आ रहे थे, उस टाइम भी Bank Nifty ने काफी support किया to take up the Nifty higher. But it is feeling the heat now. If we quickly take the autos, then it has breached the key moving averages. But yes, now the next support for the autos is around the 200 DMA, which is around the 12,200 level. Overall, if you look at the auto sector, the numbers have been decent. So in the November, the festive seasons, in the December numbers also very good. So there's no problem as far as the domestic themes are concerned. But yes, the globally there has been an issue and that's adding pressure on the market. If we look at the FMCG, so it had breached its 100 DMA, so 2150 100 DMA तीनों breach हो गए. But broadly अगर देखो तो ये sideways broadly move है इसका. ये एक रैली के बाद अभी sideways जैसा move आ रहा है. So currently it's somewhere around 43,500, 700 level. And I think holding that 42,500 to 43,500 वो वाला जोन इसके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे काफी बार सपोर्ट मिला है, ठीक है. So on the downside you want the FMCG index to find a support over here. Now the urban is not a problem, guys. So urban consumption है, अगर आप GST collection देखो इतना robust है, even the consumption numbers of most of the companies as far as the urban economy is concerned, that's fine. But still there is no pickup in demand as far as the rural economy is concerned. वहां से जो डिमांड आना चाहिए वो इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, एंड दैट्स एडिंग अ प्रेशर ऑन द FMCG कंपनीज. some there was some high raw material cost last year, but I think now the raw material cost have been a bit lower. It has cooled down a bit, and so that might support a bit margin for the FMCG companies as well. If we look at the metals, and then we go to your questions. So yeah, it's near an all-time high. So recently, I think last 15 days has been very good for the metal index. You look at the Tata Steels as well as the other metal stocks, they have been doing really well. So the index is a bit skewed towards the Adani, 20-25% weightage of Adani Enterprise. But overall, if you see the performance of the metals after forming a bottom in June, is similar to banks. बैंक्स भी पहले अंडर परफॉर्म किया हाफ वन में, मेटल्स भी अंडर परफॉर्म किया था, ठीक है. या शार्प सेल ऑफ था मेटल में, बट फ्रॉम द जून जुलाई ऑनवर्ड्स after making the bottom there was very good momentum as far as the metals are concerned. Okay, so now let's go to your questions, and in between if we find something, multiple questions on some of the sectors as well as the stocks, then we might discuss things over there. So in the room we have our head of research, Mr. Mayuresh Joshi, and my colleague Rajshekhar and Vakar are also here. So we will try to answer as many questions as possible. In case if we miss something, then you can always write to us, because we are limited time. So in next 40-45 minutes belongs to your questions. So without taking further time, the floor is open. And yes, guys, please do not keep on repeating the questions, and because then there's a lot of junk in the chat box, and to scroll up, down, and find the stocks becomes difficult. So a request, just post the query one. We will try to answer as many as possible.
Thanks, Rishit. I'll start by taking few queries now. Hello, everyone. My name is Rajshekhar Pongari. First one is Rama Steel. Just now, Rishit has discussed about Nifty Metal Index, which was trading at all-time high. Currently, in the market scenario, Nifty Metal is clearly outperforming the overall market. And if you see Rama Steel also, the stock is looking, technically it has done very good. You can see its RS rating also at 94, indicating a very good outperformance of the stock when compared to general market. But fundamentally, the stock is not looking pretty good. If you see, the earnings are not consistent. The company is not able to report good growth rate in their earnings in the last 3 to 4 quarters. For a Cancelim methodology, we would like to see earnings to be accelerating and growing on each quarter, and the growth rate should increase as the quarters pass on. But in this case, that is not happening. That is the reason EPS strength is at 20. It is a poor category. Also, the stock has broken out from its stage 5 base, which is considered as a late stage base. Technically, it is looking very good, but it is a very small market cap company. The stock has advanced more than 150% recently. From 60 rupees, it has increased to 180 rupees. And the market cap is at 600 crores. So definitely, it is a very small market cap company. Anything less than 800, 900 crores of market cap, which will definitely not come under our radar. This stock was also not under our radar previously, but recently it has come up. But being a late stage breakout and poor earnings, we are not considering this stock for addition. But the stock is doing good according to its counterparts within the metal sector. If you have this stock in your portfolio, you can keep its 50 DMA as a stop loss, and another 4% from here as a stop loss.
And guys, just to add on metals, as Rajshekhar was discussing, and there is one more question about the metal index as a whole. See, mainly the thing supporting this is about the China reopening, and couple of months we discussed in the Stock Durbar only about that Chinese real estate policy. So वो जो policy में changes आए हैं that supports the steel sector and the demand. And also, if you look at the global market prices of steel, so let's say the China steel spreads, they have recovered very good, and in the recent couple of months there has been a very strong rally in the HRC prices as well, right? So also with the due to the softening of the cooking coal prices, it supports the margin as well. So overall a good scenario is getting built around the metal stocks, around the metal industry, and that's the reason we are getting reflected as far as the stocks are concerned. And the second question was about the profit booking and some volume around Nifty Metal. See, for profit booking, I think two things very important. Firstly, any sign of reversals, sign of major reversals. Okay, second most important thing is, so by reversal, I mean something like this. Let me show you over here. If you can see, ऐसा कोई बड़ा कैंडल हाई बना के रिवर्सल होता है, जैसे कि यहाँ पे भी हुआ, ऑल टाइम हाई बनाया, फिर अचानक से एक बड़ा कैंडल नीचे दे दिया, तो दैट इज द रिवर्सल. यहाँ पे भी सेम हुआ था, समथिंग लाइक दिस. ऐसा टॉप आउट सिचुएशन होता है, some probability over here, but let's see if 50 DMA is hold, then it's not valid. So 20, अगर stock specific देखो तो 21 DMA is the first. अगर वो breach हो जाता है, then there are ideally you can book partial, because market भी अभी इतना strong नहीं है, market is trading below 50 DMA. If your stock breaches 50 DMA, market is also weak, then I think the profit booking should be done more. And ideally, if you have taken at the top, then you should cut your losses. So ideally, we don't take more than 7-8% losses as far as the O'Neill methodology is concerned. So that's always great to follow. And volume, I don't see, like couple of days the volume has been high over here, but yeah, overall there is no consistently high volume selling action as far as the recent 2 months are concerned. Sorry, Rajshekhar, over to you again.
Thanks, Shit. Next, I'll take another query from Suman related to Reliance and ICICI Bank. Reliance, the stock has been consolidating for the last 7 to 8 months in a range from 2300 to 2800 levels. Also, the moving averages have converged because of this, because the stock has been moving sideways. Obviously, the moving averages should also converge. All these moving averages starting from 21 to 200 DMA, all are trading very closely. So this zone will definitely play a what do you say, a very tricky situation for the stock, because the stock might reclaim these levels and break these levels within a couple of sessions. So we'll not see a clear momentum from these point, but the stock closes with high volume above these levels, definitely we might see good buying happening and the stock breaking out from those levels. Also, Reliance being a major company in India, and other macroeconomic factors will definitely play out. Reliance is a major conglomerate. It is spread across major sectors as well. So the Indian economy should also improve from here, and the budget will also definitely play a major role for stocks like Reliance, HDFCs, and L&T, which have major business operations. So until budget, we might expect a sideways movement in this stock. After budget, if there is any favorable announcements related to any sectors which the Reliance is in doing business, definitely we'll see good action happening in the stock. Fundamentally, there is no question about the uh, governance issues or any fundamental character. The company is very strong. Uh, Technically, because of sideways movement for the last 6 to 7 months, its RS rating has slightly come down, and it is at currently at 48, indicating a poor rating. Buyer demand is also not so good because there is no much accumulation happening in the stock. So currently there is no clear momentum happening in the stock. So if you are holding the stock, you can keep around 2400 levels as stop loss and you can exit. But looking for a fresh entry now, it is not advised because the stock is still 12% to its pivot, and previously it has faced resistance at 2800 levels. So definitely there will be overhead supply here, and the investors who have taken positions at these higher levels will definitely try to book out at break-even levels. So definitely overhead supply will be there and resistors will be there in those levels. Next, I will take ICICI Bank. The stock has done very good recently. From 600 levels, it has moved to almost 900 levels, which is a very good growth of nearly 50%. But as the Nifty Bank also made a new all-time high, the stock has also made a new all-time high. But within the Nifty Bank index also succumbed to profit booking. So this stock has also come under profit booking, and it has breached its key moving averages as well. 50 and 100 DMAs are breached clearly. Currently, it is trading in a stage 3C flat base, currently in the lower end of the base pattern. This level has given a support previously as well. So if that level is breached, 870, 875 levels, we might expect further selling happening in this stock. Uh, the 200 DM is another 7% from here. So there is no proper support until then. So if you are holding this stock, please be watchful because some selling might happen because of no proper support for the stock going downwards. On the upside, the stock has to break out from these levels. So that is another 8% movement should happen for the stock to break out because previously also for 930, 940, 950 levels, it has found resistance. So again, overhead supply will also be there for the stock as well. Coming to the ratings, fundamentally again a strong company. Even though it's a 6 lakh crore market cap company, the company is able to generate good growth rates in its sales and as well as in its profits. That shows the operational efficiency the bank is operating at. Both HDFC and ICICI are able to generate good growth rates, even though they are big cap companies. On the technical front, RS rating has come down slightly lower because of profit booking happening in the stock. Buyer demand has also come down to poor category. This is majorly because recently the selling has happened on the higher volume front. So buyer demand has declined to D rating. But if you are if you are looking for a position in this stock, now is not the correct time. It has to break out from this current base to take a fresh position.
Rashikar, Vakarya, can I take some queries now?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Rushit, can you give me the chart for V-Guard? Yep. Thank you. So overall, the ratings have been fair for V-Guard. If we talk about the recent results, that is the Q2 FY23 results, the outlook in terms of the the demand outlook by the company remains positive across the segments. I mean, in the fan segment, they're seeing destocking, and but currently the margins are still under pressure, and probably the pass through in commodity prices will take some time, probably in the second half or the first half of Q1 FY24 as well, and margins will recover probably in Q1 FY24. So probably that's the thing that probably markets are eyeing out or seeing at the moment in terms of proper recovery in margins and demand outlook to be a slightly more better. In terms of the only lens, if we talk about it, the number of funds have been improving steadily for the stock, and it's in a good space at the moment. But with markets under pressure in terms of markets below 50 DMA at the moment, and when we were in confirmed uptrend, there was this huge pile up of distribution day, and your even 2 to 3 distribution day happened within a very short span of time. So that puts pressure on the market. So during this time, the breakouts tend to fail. And similarly, you can see for this stock as well, the stock did try to break out from a flat base, but was unable to do so. But what's good at the moment is that the stock hasn't breached its 50 DMA, and it's current finding support at the 50 DMA. Anyone probably holding into the stock can book out of the stock if 50 DMA gets breached, and even if the 50 DMA gets breached on above average volumes, then I definitely exit it. The other we can look at it is Cummins. This is one of the stocks that had a successful breakout and is currently trading around the 50 DMA. And even you can see the RS line after reaching new highs when the stock was trading around 1552 levels. At that time, the RS line was also making new highs, and post that the RS line has cooled off a little. Even you can look at the volumes in the selling is somewhere around average, so it's not that kind of a good sign. But the only good sign is that the stock hasn't breached its 50 DMA. Whenever in the last few days it breached its 50 DMA, it is able to reclaim it. On the fund basis as well, the number of funds holding for the stock has been improving, and which is really good. If we talk about the last quarter results, the last quarter results has been the best ever for the company in terms of the revenue, EBITDA, and PAT terms. Overall, the demand outlook across segments, if we talk about segments at end markets such as pharma, biotech, commercial realty, manufacturing, and data centers for the power generation segments are probably driving their growth. They're facing problems because of the Russia-Ukraine issue in terms of some critical components unable to get for the intermediary parts, and probably they face seeing a demand slowdown in Europe as well. Overall domestic demand for the company remains good. Apart from Europe, the export demand for the company also remains good. Probably uh, these are things that is holding up the stock. And probably what the next trigger can be the Q3 FY23 results for the company, and probably if the stock can again post a good set of number, and then you can see a small to medium rally happening in the stock as well. Anyone holding the stock probably can look at the recent lows. I mean, the recent lows below the 50 DMA. If those gets breached, or probably someone having a slightly higher risk tolerance level, then even the 100 DMA can be looked at, because the 100 DMA will be below the pivot level, somewhere around 3 to 4% loss considering the current levels. Rushit, the next we can look at is Coromandel. So Coromandel was, yes, was one of our model portfolio stocks, and it wasn't the direct entry or from the pivot entry. It was like an alternate buying entry we had looked at when the stock reclaimed its 50 and 200 DMA on above average volumes. But as we see that when markets came under selling pressure, even the stock with this very superior fundamentals also came under selling pressure. And post the selling pressure, if you look at it, the RS line has, or the RS rating has also weakened. The buyer demand for the stock has weakened, and currently the stock is trading well below the 2150 and the 200 DMA. The fund holding, however, if you look at it for the stock, remains very good and intact at the moment. Because if you look at from the overall the fertilizer sector and for the company, it's being really good in terms of there has been a demographic change in India where in terms of your there's been increase in population income plus the per capita incomes is increasing, which is leading to your increase in food consumption. There has been a change in the agricultural industry as well, which is expected to benefit the fertilizer industry in terms of your increasing in farm productivity, increasing in yield, lower availability of labor. Plus, if you look at from the company level, from the last quarter, the guidance has also improved in terms of the EBITDA per ton guidance has increased to 5,500 per ton from the initial guidance of 4,000 to 4,500 per ton. So overall, probably the fundamental still remains intact for the company. However, if the stock reclaims the 50 and the 200 DMA, one can probably have a good look at the stock if your market stages an FTD, that is a follow through day, and we come back to a confirmed uptrend. One probably holding the stock should have exited out when the 21 DMA or the 50 DMA got breached. If one's holding, and then the recent lows of probably 848 can be looked at it. If that's breached, can exit it out if one's currently holding it.
Yeah, thanks, Vakar. There is a query on Astral, one of the leading company in the piping industry. So the overall for Astral, the Q2 numbers were not that great, but if you see the estimates, thoda inline ही था estimates से देखे, but the growth was not that good. There was also correction in the operating profit margin, especially जो उनका core business है, जो piping वाला, वहाँ से revenue as well as the margins में थोड़ा impact आया था. Also, there was some inventory losses in the last quarter, and so overall, not a great set of numbers. However, the management commentary was good, and they had expected some good demand in the H2. So, I think for this stock, the recent quarter result, right? The October से December वाला quarter का जो result होगा, that will be very crucial because management has commented that this quarter the demand will be good, the operating margins will improve a bit. So if that happens, okay, then there will be a very good momentum in the stock. So till the time you get the result out in this stock, that what are the volumes growth, how was the revenue, what was the operating margin, and what is the further comment about. So overall, last time जो comment दिया था about the how H2 FY23, that was decent, right? They were expecting a double-digit volume growth as in the second half, and they are expecting a very good growth in the 2024 as well, FY 2024, almost 15% on a volume basis. So let's see if they are able to deliver it in the Q3. If they are able to deliver it on the revenue, volume, and margin front, then I think there will be some momentum in the stock. Otherwise, you need to give some time to get back on track fundamentally, especially the volumes and the margin point of view. अगर अभी टेक्निकली देखे तो थोड़ा 50-200 के अराउंड ऑसिलेट कर रहे हैं स्टॉक, तो एंड इट इज ऑलमोस्ट 25% ऑफ हाई. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू ओनिल यू शुड अवॉइड दिस स्टॉक. रिलेटिव स्ट्रेंथ काफी खराब है इसका 36. Okay, buyer demand B plus is not that bad, but yeah, the results as well as the you need to give some more time for the technical as well as the fundamentals to improve. The other questions related to the fertilizer stocks have been moving very well, especially this there are expectations in the budget that जो यूरिया का सब्सिडी है वहां पे एक इंक्रीमेंटल ग्रोथ होगा, सब्सिडी काफी बढ़ेगी. Second thing is about the Russia. So Russia has announced the tax, the export tax on all the fertilizers, around 23.5% of the export tax, right? So that is also impacting the fertilizer industry globally, and that's how the demand as well as the pricing will increase for our fertilizer company, and that is getting reflected in the chart over here in the fact. So now currently, if you look, that's too much extended, guys. 132% from the pivot, and even if you look at the 200 DMA, it's already extended 171%. That's too much. So need to be careful. If anyone is holding a position, then according to O'Neill, you should be, have a good stop loss in mind, maybe somewhere around the recent low, because it's already up 35% from the 21 DMA as well. So जब ऐसे stock गिरते हैं तब जोरदार गिरते हैं, that we have seen many of the times. But yes, there are tailwinds for this one. One is about the Russia, the global market prices of the fertilizer. The second is about the budget. There are high chances that that will be, increase in the urea subsidy. Also, some other schemes will be there to boost the farmer income. Because see, fundamentally, the government had a plan to double the farmer income by 2022, right? But due to the COVID situation, a lot of things have been pushed back, and the focus will be again more on, the infrastructure as well as the agriculture sector. So these stocks will be getting benefit from it. But fresh entry over here, not getting according to O'Neill point of view. So a lot of queries about the infrastructure stocks. So from YouTube also it is coming, the PNC Infra, then NCC, many others, ACE. So overall, that's what I was telling, that this is the budget theme, the domestic consumption, the government spending. So last month when the finance minister was discussing at some event or the press conference, she was very sure about the focus on the infra growth. What she was telling, that the previous budget outlay will be a bit continued in this one as well. So last budget was much focused on the infrastructure growth, the government spending. So अभी वो अगर continue होगा, वहां पे थोड़ा incremental budget आएगा. The next, this will be the last full budget of the government. So infrastructure में काफी push होने की possibilities है. Plus the domestic macros are not much in the problem. If you see the GST collection, the toll figures, the things are quite well. So I think government will try to push the infrastructure, and that's why the PNC Infra, the KNR, NCC, all these stocks are doing well. So now technically specific अगर हम देखें PNC के बारे में, so yes, it has moved about all the key moving averages. So November में यहाँ पे पूरा consolidate किया था ये 250 के around, but now it has moved higher. Fundamentally last quarter का result इतना अच्छा नहीं था. Price strength अभी भी थोड़ा weak है, 66 का. Buyer demand of B not great, but yeah, overall it's okay. Over here also you need to wait for some technical improvement. If you look at the weekly chart, right? So this is getting very good, resistance around the 300 320 zone. यहाँ पे पूरा resistance मिल रहा है stock को. तो let it form a base over here. I think ये नीचे से एक low बना के निकल चुका है. That's what the chart indicates. Let me load it. Okay. So generally हम कोई भी pattern discuss करते हैं, the cup with handle और the double bottom base, ठीक है? तो वहां पे हम पहली चीज देखते हैं, that is the prior uptrend. The prior uptrend is always looked at first. So I think we have got some bit of prior uptrend over here. So now we'll give some time to form a base. So once the base is formed, and if you see the fundamental improves in this quarter, then that's the ideal time to go for the stock.
Rashid, I'll take few queries now.
Okay.
That is real because
Rajshekar, was my voice breaking or it's problem at your end? I'm not
No,
sure.
no, it was good. There
Okay, fine.
was no disturbance in it.
Okay, fine.
The stock has consolidated for major part of the 2022, and it has given breakout in November. And after breaking out, the stock advanced uh, more than 70-80% within a period of short span. Within a month, it has advanced 80%, hitting power to pivot. From there is slight profit booking happening in the stock, but that is not a major sell off because if you look at the volume action, the volume have come down during the current fall. The stock has also has not reached its key moving averages. Even though it reached its 21 DMA, recently it has reclaimed its 21 DMA as well. It is clearly trading above its 50, 100, and 200 DMAs. Fundamentally, it's a very strong company which is related to construction space in Indian Railways, and it has a good market share also in that space. It has reported very good set of numbers, and that is the reason the CPS is also at 93. The stock has clearly outperformed the majority of the market. That is indicated by its higher RS rating of 94 as well. Technical ratings are also very good. Fundamentally, there is no doubt about the company. The only thing is market structure is not very conducive with this current moment. Otherwise, it's a very good stock to hold. If you are having this stock in your portfolio, you can keep stop loss around its level below 21 DMA. Currently, 21 DMA is at 69 rupees. So you can keep 68 as a stop loss, and you can continue to ride the stock as long as it trades above its 21 DMA. The customer has specifically asked, he has this stock in its portfolio, so definitely you can continue to hold it, and you can keep a stop loss around 21 DMA. If you have bought after breaking out, then you can consider keeping after 21 DMA breach, you can consider partial booking profits, and you can keep 50 DMA as a stop loss because that is more safer on the downside. But if you want to, if you are risk averse and if you don't want to take the risk, any further risk, you can exit completely if the 21 DMA is breached. Okay, one of the customer has asked about number of funds and the change in number of funds. How do we see and what is the percentage change? The number of funds is nothing but major institutional funds which are invested in the company, and the percentage change is calculated on quarter-on-quarter basis. Currently, if you see for this particular stock, the number of funds invested are at 44, and when compared to the previous quarter, the stock had seen 76% of growth in the number of funds, which is a very good sign. The institutional funds are taking fresh positions. That indicates a very good sign. The stock is going to be a long-term growth generator for the investors. Okay, and also there are some macroeconomic queries as well, mostly related to RBIs and rate hikes. Recently, globally, the theme has been inflation being on the higher side. The central banks across the globe have been increasing the interest rates. This is to tackle the inflation because when the inflation is on the higher end, central banks have to step in, and they have to bring down the inflation within the range they are expecting, and with range currently RBI has been targeting a range of 4% with a 2% on the upside and downside range. So, but the inflation has been coming above this range. Definitely, it is not a positive sign. So that is the reason RBI has stepped in and they have increased interest rates. And also, Fed has also increased interest rates because of the same reason. But they are mostly analysts expect the quantity
Rushit, we've lost Raj. Can you just take over, please?
Sure.
Yeah, Rushit, I'll take so much will get the capex plan.
Raj, I think your voice is breaking. Vakar, can
Raj,
you
your voice is breaking.
fresh query from?
Hello.
Raj, it's fine. Vakar is taking a fresh query from
Yeah.
you.
I'll take the first query. Rishit, can you give me a chart for Ceat?
Yeah, Vakar, can you also discuss about these tire companies, the falling crude and rubber, including all the companies? Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So if we talk about Ceat, I mean, the last result wasn't that good in terms of there was volumes pressure for the company, but overall blended realization for the company improved. Even margins is improving, as you can see what even Rushit was talking about in terms of your crude oil prices falling and the crude oil being a major your derivative which goes into the as a precursor to raw materials for your rubber and tire companies. And similarly, if you look at it, even the companies expecting your the basket of raw material prices to soften up a bit. If you talk about from the demand perspective for the tire companies, I mean, if you talk uh, if you talk from the replacement, there is two demands for these companies. One is the OEM segment that is directly from your two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and four-wheeler manufacturer. Hello,
Yeah, Vakar, you're audible now.
I'm audible now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was talking about in terms of the companies mixed with your OEM and the after sales. So the after sales did get a hit, and the after sales contribution for the company currently stands at around 53%, where pre-COVID was around 60%. And if we talk about specifically from the replacement demand segment, then the replacement demand is the one that is more margin accretive for the company, and that's why the company has been lacking on margins going forward with your crude prices softening, your rubber prices softening. They even the company is expecting a 3 to 4% decline in the raw material prices, which can lead to your improvement in your gross margins in the second half of FY23, with the results coming in, with the result season expected to start like in a week or so for a major set of companies. We can see how this translates into for your tire makers as well. Coming back to the Cancelim and the William O'Neill criteria, the number of funds for the stock has been improving. But overall, the company, if you look at the EPS profile, what even I was discussing is not able to deliver the kind of results it should deliver. And even the last breakout for the stock wasn't successful. Currently, it's trading below the 50 DMA. Probably, if the stock is able to deliver something on the volumes and the margin front in the coming cycle in terms of the Q3 FY23 result cycle, then probably you can see some kind of movement in the stock, but it's likely to remain very range bound around the pivot according the view, depending upon the demand and the margin scenario at the moment. The other we can look at it as MRF, somewhat tire companies we can look at. So again, if you look at it, the stock has been consolidating in a very sideways trend. Isn't able to get a proper impetus or proper your backing for a proper breakout. If you look at it, it's 1C or 1D in terms of the this base is been forming. So it's more of a very sideways movement. Even if the RS line, if you look at it, the RS line is also moving sideways, and that's been the problem for this stock. No real impetus, and probably if something doesn't come up for these companies in the results as well in terms of better than expected volumes and margins, then probably the breakouts won't happen for these companies as well. Is there any more tire company you want to discuss?
No, I think you have discussed the theme as well. So there's also one more point about the Russia. So
Russia.
Yeah, European companies have stopped buying the tires from the Russia, and that's a huge market. Almost 10 million tires are exported from Russia to Europe every year. But due to this conflict between the Ukraine and the Russia and the sanction games, there has been they have stopped buying from there. So the demand is not a problem, but as Vakar has discussed, the raw material cost is now falling. So the margin was a problem over here. But if the raw material cost remains lower for a period of time, let's say 1-2 months or a quarter, then that will be a very good thumbs up for the Indian tire companies. And that's why today, yes, Balkrishna as well. So over here, sorry, that's paper. So here also there was a very strong momentum. तो एक पूरा consolidation था, वहां से ये stock निकला था, high volume पे निकला था, but the closing was not near the day's high. Yeah, so that's about the tire companies. If we see, Chandra is asking about the next CanSlim seminar. You will get a notification as well as the email from our marketing team related to the next CanSlim seminar. This question on Coal India. So yes, after breaking out from a stage 2 base in the month of October, it went higher, some around 8 to 10% move in the stock, but then it fell sharply. So this is why tracking volume becomes very important. Look over here. High volume पे back to back 4 दिन गिरा. In meantime 21 DMA भी breach कर दिया. So this was the ideal time you exit the stock. On the same day, I think gap down हुआ 21 or 50 दोनों गया था. So this is how you need to exit the stock, and buying in an ideal buy zone. So Mayuresh also always discussed to buy over there. That's what the William O'Neill has always written in his book about buying in the ideal buy zone. We put a lot of focus over there. अगर आप buy zone पे लिया होता then 2-3% 4% loss पे आप निकल सकते थे यहाँ भी, ठीक है. So this becomes important when the stock is getting sold on a higher volume, that is on the above average volume. So this is a 50-day volume line, average volume line, the red line. So uske upar volume tha consecutively for 4 sessions. Now if you see it never reclaimed its 50 DMA after that. So har bar 50 DMA pe resistance liya, it breached the pink line, that's 100 DMA, and currently it is trying to find support near the 200 DMA. Buyer demand very poor, group rank also poor. So need to give some time. टेक्निकल थोड़ा इंप्रूव हो जाता है एक बार 121 150 DMA रिक्लेम होके फिर से अगर बाय जोन में आता है एंड द वॉल्यूम इज गुड. सो नाउ द इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट इज कि जो ये 218 है, मान लो यहाँ से 215 टू 220 के बीच एक वो बॉटम बनाता है, वहां से 240 जाता है. सो इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट बिकम्स इज दैट जो 20-25 रुपीज का गेन मिला कोल इंडिया को, हाउ इज द प्राइस वॉल्यूम एक्शन, इज इट going on a high volume. Second thing to look at is the closing कहाँ पे होता है इंट्राडे में. देखो ये स्टॉक इतना सेल ऑफ हुआ ना, उससे पहले यहाँ पे क्लोजिंग देखो, एवरी डे इट ट्राइड टू गो हायर बट इट क्लोज नियर द डे इज लो. जो दिन का रेंज बनाता है वो लो पे बंद होता है. सो दिस इज नेगेटिव. बट नाउ इफ यू सी देर आर सम साइंस ऑफ रिवर्सल, यहाँ पे फिर से बाय जोन के नजदीक आता है. सो ये जो 20 पॉइंट का मूवमेंट कैसे होता है वो देखना इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा एज फार एज द कोल इंडिया इज कंसर्न. इन केस समवन इज होल्डिंग द स्टॉक, देन अकॉर्डिंग टू ओनिल मेथोलॉजी स्टॉप लॉस हिट हो गया है फ्रॉम द बाय जोन, बट यस 200 DMA कैन बी केप्ट एज अ स्टॉप लॉस जोन.
Rushit, I'll take a couple of questions.
Sure.
So there is Samir's question on what is the view on our rate hikes by RBI in the future, with the FOMC saying no rate cuts. So with the data that is coming, guys, out of the US, right, the labor market is still strong. Housing starts have started receding across a few key states. But since labor market is at strengthening, or is pretty robust at this point of time, the inflationary impact globally is more related to wage hikes. So the food related part will slowly and steadily start coming down in India's context. But it's more the fear in terms of the wage inflation seeping into the system itself, and that pushing up prices of goods and services correspondingly and creating a spiral effect. So I think the Fed is pretty clear in terms of its trajectory going forward. RBI, in my opinion, will follow suit for two reasons. One, the core inflation, though it has come down a tad bit below 6%, 5.9 in the last reading, and with food inflation expected to come down with a good Rabi sowing that has happened, expectation of a good output or a harvest from the Rabi season, the food aspect should start coming down. It is not as bad in India as it is in the West. Falling crude prices also assist us significantly. But the other macros is something that can get impacted. So exports might take a hit. The services export also, which means your IT services, in case of a slowdown, might witness some slowdown. Your engineering exports, textile exports might also witness some sort of slowdown. And therefore, the current account deficit is expected to breach in this financial year 3.5%. When we started the year, it was expected that we should be below 3%. We might be on track as far as the fiscal deficit is concerned, because tax collections have remained very, very robust so far. So India relatively better off, but India is also relatively expensive compared to the rest of the globe, at least at this point of time. So I think the next quarter is going to be very important on how the world reacts in terms of rate hikes, the planned recession that is bought in the US. Surprisingly, winter has not been that harsh in the European region. So gas prices have also come off significantly. There will be some hit in the winter in this quarter to come as temperatures start dropping. But the larger picture, or the big picture, was that for an elongated winter and elevated gas prices does not seem to be the case, which seems to be a good news on the import front of energy, both gas and crude, in a forex as well as the Indian balance sheet context. So in that sense, RBI might take those rate hikes. The Fed has also indicated that the calibration will happen in rate hikes going forward. Our own sense is that RBI might do a couple of rate hikes in the next 3 to 4 months. To match the arbitrage between the US and the Indian 10-year, to keep the Indian 10-year attractive, and also probably just to curtail demand to a certain bit, so that the band of 4 to 6%, the inflation, specifically core inflation, starts seeping down. So that's the answer to your question, Samir. Markets have gestated that. So let's also be clear. Markets have taken this into account. Now, if there is an accelerated cycle where demand contracts significantly, we are looking at significant reduction in demand, earnings come off significantly. We are also hearing of more job cuts happening in companies like Amazon and Google. And in that case, any outside risk which happens because of the war, what happens on the China COVID front, those are large unknowns at this point of time. But most of this is gestated by the market. Any substantial correction has to come will be outside these reasons. So either it will be a substantial contraction in terms of demand or economic activity receding quite significantly, as the IMS has put it. 1/3 of the world might get into a recession. And therefore, if it is too deep, which the markets have not accepted, or the earnings cut is too harsh, that is when the markets might react, and then we might go into a time of consolidation. You don't want to predict this. We want to take it as per our O'Neill lens, how it shows in terms of our market direction cycle, as well as the overall attributes in terms of how different sectors are placed and individual leadership talks are placed within that. So I think that's the take, Samir, in terms of how the global macros are shaping up. Ankush had a follow-up question on that, HG Infra and water related stocks. Water treatment, Ankush, will be very important. with the climate change that you are seeing and with budgetary allocations happening, I was trying to find out a lot of articles related to water and waste management on the net. I could dig out only a few. I've tweeted that a couple of weeks back. But a couple of companies which obviously are big time into this are Welspun Enterprises. One of them, you've got to a certain extent some element of ion exchange in that. Viatech Wabag, which is into desalination, water treatment as well. Few of these companies have done well. Welspun close to its profit booking zone. Viatech Wabag, I think it's 7% from its pivot. Not sure where ion exchange is at this point of time, but there will be a substantial allocation in terms of the budget related to this, and a few of these stocks probably can be kept on the radar as well. When it comes to Praj, Abhijit, it's a proxy play on sugar. What these guys are doing is phenomenal. So they started off with 2G and 3G ethanol plants. They have done a few outside India as well. They are building quite a pipeline of innovative products. So as an example, they are building something like a diesel binder. So just to give you some stats, the petrol consumption close to around 28-30 crore odd liters. Diesel is 3 times more than that. So if they are successful in developing a diesel binder, that can be big news for the company. They're trying to develop something from agri-residual waste as well. So the stubble issue that we see in Noida or parts surrounding Punjab and Haryana before every winter crop, a large part of that might get over if they successfully devise something related to this. The third element is also somewhere related to sugarcane juice and blending that up in terms of aviation turbine fuel as well. So like we are talking in terms of cars for the ethanol blending mix, they're developing something very interesting on the ATF front as well for aeroplanes. So they've got a lot of that in the pipeline. 2G, 3G obviously is there in terms of ethanol. And again, from agricultural or agri waste or residues as we call it, bagasse as we call it in other terms, they're trying to create those plants which can effectively work on that, which takes that as an input or as feedstock for running those plants without damaging the machinery, because they'll be building the machinery based on the dynamics that individually these can suffice. So I think a couple of queries on that front. Tire stocks have got covered, right? Vakar covered that.
Yes.
Fair enough. Nykaa, Mallikarjuna Murthy has a question on Nykaa and Zomato. Now, Zomato, there has been a lot of exits, right? So you look at the overall ratings for Zomato, not that great, right? Because we follow the ratings very, very closely below all moving averages. Top level exits do not exhibit confidence in the management of a company. So every time you've got something like that, it's always a question mark. Yes, 31st December, they could not deliver certain orders, huge amount of orders coming their way, but it's a phenomenon that happens on special dates like these. But ultimately, I think it's the bottom line which is going to determine their performance, right? And the EPS and the RS strength is extremely poor, below moving averages. Does not make sense in my opinion. Similarly with Nykaa, overpriced when it got listed because the market was in huge momentum. The hype has come off completely. The kind of profits they are making and the kind of valuations they were demanding was just not sustainable. And you cannot just keep on having this base on base. They've got their individual products, but ultimately they are aggregators to a certain extent. Competition is pretty intense within this space itself. And though they've got a good hold, numbers should do the talking, where numbers, unfortunately, I have a very, very low base. And for that number to compound and that EPS rating to compound, which gets reflected in the EPS rating, is going to take time, right? So you probably need to give it time. Overhyped, a large part of these new product stored platform companies, and they have hit ground zero, or the gravitational force had hit them pretty hard. So I think we'll wait for base formations. We are not biased towards any sector stroke company. If there is a proper base formation, there are sector tailwinds behind that, and it's coming out of a right base. The ratings are all perfectly aligned. there is no harm, but not at this point of time because as you see from the ratings, rankings, nothing is probably aligned at this point of time. You can take the remaining questions. My two takes on this as well.
Sure. Let's take last couple of queries. This question on Wipro for investment for 2 years. See, currently it's in a very bad shape. Not only the Wipro, but the revenue growth expectations, the technology spending globally, the margins getting lower. So a lot of problems for the IT sector as a whole. And especially what Mayuresh recently discussed about the rate hike cycle, the recession fear, the IMF forecasting 1/3 of the globe economy going through the period of recession. So this all things always hurts the IT sector, especially the stocks like the Wipro, which is having all the Indian IT stocks having the high exposure to the global economy, to the big tech spendings from the developed economy, the Europe, the US. So over here, it might take some time to consolidate, or if we see further deterioration as far as the revenue is concerned or the IT spendings are concerned, then there are chances it might fall more because technically there is no clear support. So it is having a zone somewhere around that 370, 390 zone, 400 के around वो घूमता रहता है. I think पिछले 3 महीने 4 महीने से अगर आप देखें. So it is below the key moving averages, almost 10-12% below 200 DMA. It is oscillating around 50 DMA. Most of the lines have converged. So the red line over here, the green is the 21 and the pink is 100. So it's oscillating around those levels. Plus, what's not good about this stock is the buyer demand. That's very poor, as well as the price strength. So bottom fishing should be avoided in these kind of sectors. I'm not talking like someone might be telling that, okay, these are the big guns in the Indian industry, 10 years mein itna price hoga. Agree, ho sakta hai. But as of now, the technicals are not in the support. Also, there are a lot of fundamental that we have already discussed that are not in shape for these stocks that it can support the growth as well as the earnings for the stock. So give some time, let the fundamental improve, the IT spending improve, their order books, margins में थोड़ा improvement दिखेगा. So listen couple of con calls this quarter, maybe next quarter if required. And if you see that there is some improvement in the technicals, 200 DMA reclaim हो गया, वहाँ पे कोई base बना रहा है, then that's never a problem to enter a bit late. ठीक है? So that's what we always believe in, that buy high, sell higher should be the way to invest, and not trying to bottom fish because you never know the bottom. ठीक है? यहाँ पे भी ऐसा ही हुआ था विप्रो में कि चलो भाई अब तो बॉटम बन रहा है, कितने टाइम से कंसोलिडेट किया, 500 के भाव पे आ गया, ऊपर जा रहा है, क्या हुआ, 200 DMA से रेजिस्टेंस लिया, फिर से गया. Similar thing happened over here, again it went down. So you can't predict the bottom. No one know that okay 535 bottom था या नहीं था. So instead give some time, let it form a good quality base, थोड़ा fundamental improve हो जाए, then definitely you can invest for 1 year, 2 year, whenever the fundamentals and technicals improve. Pran has a question on specialty restaurant. I saw it a couple of times, but honestly, I'm not sure about that 13% move. What I know about the specialty restaurant is the last month, December में उन लोगों ने fundraising का meeting हुआ था, and they are on track to getting for that fundraising thing. But the exact reason for today's 13% move, I'm sorry, you asked a couple of times, but we are not sure about it. Okay, we can take one last query, JK paper.
And we can also do specialty. Sorry, Ruchir, to interrupt, because specialty, I think, was being asked. Right? Have we covered specialty?
Yes, I just covered it. So there was 13% move on the stock. So it broke out from the stage 6 consolidation pattern.
Okay. I sorry, I was just away for a minute, so maybe I'm not taking that. So that question is answered, Pran, for you. Yeah, but on the fundamental front we answered, but I'm not sure about the 13% move today. If there is some news, but yes, technically breakout दिया था 242 पे. So generally ऐसे breakout के बाद it always tends to move higher.
जुलाई में भी जब ब्रेकआउट दिया था in July 2022, it gave a 17% move. Also during the breakout in Feb, it gave a 12% move. So the reason can be technical. Because fundamentally a news, I didn't found anything honestly. But yes, I told you last month there was some fundraising activity by the company, and they are very confident about the growth going further. But guys, this is very risky. 6 days, highly risky to go for.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've just written an article. Rushit and Vakar and Rajshekar have written an article, a weekly learning article on how late stages can be disastrous. There have been certain outliers in these late stages as well, right? Jubilant in the last cycle. Right now, along with specialty, Usha Martin, right? Rushit?
Yes, Usha Martin, HAL. Then
Yeah, so there have been a few outliers as well, but it's always considered risky because when the reversals will come, the exits will be very, very difficult. And we've seen this historically in the past. Yeah. So thanks a ton. You can take JK paper and we can then end this session. Rushit.
currently the stock is forming a stage 4B base and it is moving sideways. It briefly breakout hua tha, but I think it didn't sustain for some even an hour also, and then it failed. और वहां से 3-4 दिन sharp selling हुआ and the volume was also a bit on the higher side during the selling. But since last few sessions, the volume activities have been very low, especially on the down days, the volumes are very low. Range बहुत छोटा है, but this action was good. 200 DMA पे support लेके strong rebound and day high पे closing. That's a very good sign. The stock has reclaimed its 50 DMA. So it's a high stage base. So ideally, you should give some more time for this stock because as just we discussed about the basis, you can also go through that article. You will get a very good idea. We have tried to compare a lot of charts, some 5-6 examples in that. So wait for some time. If you are already holding, then I think the 50 DMA and the 200 DMA is the level to watch out for because sharp reversal from 200 DMA 2-3 बार ऐसा हुआ है. So जब भी ये तोड़ेगा 200 DMA on a higher volume, there are high chances that it might correct further. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for joining the session. There are some unanswered queries, but yeah, you can always write us an email to us and we will try to respond it on the same day within the 24 hours. That's what we always try to do it. So if we have missed something, then we are really sorry about it. SBI card. We are not getting that price momentum in the stock. I think there's a huge equity. So it's not just only the FI increasing the stake, but if let's look at summary. Just a second. So yes, mutual fund has increased the stake, but I think see the FPIs, the foreign portfolio investor, have reduced the stake in the stock, as well as some other major investor which were holding around 4%, they have also reduced the stake in the company. So there's no major demand supply gap over here. So whenever there is a demand coming, there is an equal supply over there. So yeah, that's the reason you are not getting that momentum over here. On a very primary basis, yes, we'll try to discuss this in the next session later, or if you have further question, you can email us. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining the session.